to any of those.
That is so cool.
It's very cool. It's very cool. There's a whole book on the democracy of bees, and very interesting read. Okay, any other questions about swarming?
Hi, Anne. This is Susan.
Hi.
Not about swarming, but the pictures up that you showed in the begining.
Yes.
Did you take those pictures, or do we know who took those pictures?
I wish. No, those were ones that I purchased. It's an educational bundle that you can get, and they are made to fit right inside those frames. So you can actually build a brood box with all these pictures in it, and you can put them so that the pictures on both sides of the frames. But then you can go through and you can share these if you wanted to do an educational thing, like at a school or something like that. Very good pictures, though. And I have more. I'll show you more as we go through the tour.
Great, thank you.
Cool.
Okay, so this wall is all about the queen. Some real good pictures of her. And that one happens to be marked. Sometimes with research, they mark them so they can find them easy and keep track of which queen it is. This shows the retinue around her when she smells really good. All the bees come and lick her and groom her, and then they spread that scent throughout the hive. So that is a great picture of her retinue. This is another picture of her retinue again, where they're grooming her. And they only do that for about, a few seconds, and then they go spread it throughout the hive and somebody else takes their place. There's her mating. Can you believe anybody got a picture of them mating? Because they do that in midair. And they are just flying like crazy. If you look up on Google or YouTube, mating flight of honeybees, they have lots of great videos, and you can see how fast they're moving. But it's amazing that anybody caught that on camera. Let me see. As we go around, I put up some posters about what the beekeeper's year looks like, or what we're doing at different times. Over here, we have a little bit about propolis and trophallaxis, which you can read about, another more scientific terms and things that they're doing. That's a great picture. Here, let me see if I can switch it. You can see instead of pollen, this worker actually has propolis on her legs, that shiny kind of reddish stuff. And they use that for sealing up the hive. It's antibacterial, antifungal, antimicrobial, and it's waterproof. So they seal up their hive with that. Let's see. Over here are some more pictures about ventilation, the architecture of those perfect little honeycombs. Beautiful picture of brand new wax. Look at how white that is. And then here's some more about how they build. That's kind of a weird picture. Sorry about the glare, but you can see all these will be a lot better if you can come in person and see them. That's about the important role that they play in pollination, some informational things about how they create our food supply. There's some information about beekeeping. That's a great picture of them filling up brand new honeycomb with honey. And that's another one. Boy, can't get a very good picture of that. You can see the reflection of the light with the honey and the bees putting it in there. And then I wanted to share with you, this is a hive that goes right through the window. Actually, two hives that go right through the window. And so to work in them, you do it more like the Slovenians do, where you work from inside and you slide the frames out towards you rather than lifting them from the top. And, I tried my best on my woodworking, but it wasn't exact enough to keep bees from squeezing through the little gaps. So when I open these, there's a lot of bees in there. Well, not too bad this morning, but the beauty of this hive is that if I remove these doors, there's a screen there, but you can actually see and you can definitely hear the bees working in here. And this is a separate colony than this one. And the really cool thing on here is that I put a flow hive on because I wanted to still be able to harvest honey. Sorry, this is hard to do with one hand. So this is a flow hive. If you guys haven't ever heard about a flow hive, you can definitely Google that and watch a video of them in operation. But basically, it's a plastic built honeycomb. So you can see that there's little grooves here, and all the bees have to do is fill it with honey. So this dark stuff is honey that they put in there. Now you can see on at least this frame here that they've gotten it nearly full, and then they'll cap it out here. And when it's totally full like that, you know that they've turned that nectar into honey, which means that they've dehydrated it down to about 18% water, and then it's ready for harvesting. If you harvest it too early, then it spoils, or it can spoil. But once it's down to that 18%, they cap it, and then they move on to the next section. So you can see right here that this side of the colony, or this colony on this side, is just have access to this part of this flow hive. And so that's the one they're filling. This colony isn't quite as strong, so they haven't put as much honey away. Now, generally, they'll start building in the middle of the frame, and then they work towards the end. So what I'm seeing is the end of the frame. So I really don't know how much honey is in there, but I kind of wanted to show you guys how we harvest with a flow hive today. I'm gonna at least start the process. And let me scoot things here. So let me show you the whole thing. Here's our jar. I always use a gallon jug now because the first time I harvested, they said you'd get about a half gallon, and it was a little over half gallon, so I had a sticky mess. So I don't do that anymore. I made this tube. The clear end that you can see there comes with the flow frames. I attached this clear tubing to it and then put another one of the ends at the other end of this tube, made it the length that I need. But you'll see that those fit right down in that gallon jug. And then this other end will go right where this little cap is. I popped this out with the tool because they tend to propolize it and kind of stick it in there. Okay, I haven't harvested from this one, so I'm not sure how close to scooch it. That looks good. Okay, now I've got to, okay, that's what makes them out. Ooh, I just got to be in my bonnet. Hang on, hang on. Okay, I'm going to put my veil on. Because as soon as I open up that lid, they're coming at me. They're not happy with me.
Yeah, good call, Anne. We want you to be safe.
Yeah, you don't want to hear me stung today.
Yeah, rather you be safe than sorry.
Yeah, it's so not fun. I'm going to even put on my gloves. Hang on.
I think actually the lighting is almost better now because it's a little bit cloudy, isn't it, today?
Yeah. Okay, I've got to lift up this lid. I'm going to pop out. There's another little lid there. Okay, and I just popped out that lid. Now I insert this bar, and I'm going to do it about a quarter or a third of the way, and then turn it because it's popping all that wax. And so it can be kind of hard to turn. Okay, so now I leave it like that. And it's going to start flowing in the tube. Of course, it's not super hot. You can see it starting to leak down in there. Can you see it moving? Can you see the honey moving? Look right, if you look right there at the opening, you can see the honey starting to come.
Yeah, we can see it.
Isn't that great?
It took a second with the camera, but it's totally coming.
So this is a slow process because the honey is very thick, but the really great thing about this system, how I have it set up, is I don't have to stay here. Okay, so it's totally closed. I don't have to worry about bees getting in there. So I can walk away now and I'll come back in a half an hour or 40 minutes and my jar should be full or really close to full. But you can also see, I want you to see on these frames, oh, I don't know, you can see the glare more than anything. Can you see how that honey already drained out of this? It's fallen down. I don't know if you can. Yeah, the honey is coming down into the chamber at the bottom. Look at how full that tube is now. And that's fabulous honey. And the really great thing about this too is that you don't have to strain it. You don't have to get the wax out of it. You don't have to heat it, anything. It's just going to be totally raw honey that will come down into this jar and I can bottle it from there. Okay, Elaine, I think we're almost done. This is about the end of my little hive out here. There's some honeys of different kinds. These are all single source honeys. And I have a number of them in my office still too that we do honey tastings with. These are from mostly America, but some are from other places in the world. And then that's a window that I'm leaving open now because there are some bees that get loose in here so they can get out. But I can put another hive in this one if this first one works out really good. Okay, Elaine.
Okay.
Well, I'd like to open it up for questions. Is there anybody
Yes.
that has questions? No?
Yeah. Anne is going to be walking to the next stop where she's going to talk. So we thought this would be an opportunity for anybody to ask questions. If not, I was going to pull up something quick to show you. Any questions?
One other thing I can show you is if you see this, you can see this tree here, and then there's another one there. And then I planted a couple out here. They have bags on them. And then this section here in between the two tiny homes, one of the classes did, the sustainability class did. So we came in and rototilled up all the weedy grasses and they planted clover, which is a great source of food, both pollen and nectar for bees. And it's growing like crazy. So it's a good foot tall. But we planted some more pollinator trees and then some plants over there too that the pollinators are really gonna like. So that's one of the things we did with our eco-social justice grant that we received for the bees. It was called Bees and Trees. We got a number of pollinator trees that we're planting on several of the campuses, or we're trying to. And then, yeah, and there'll be food for the bees.
Great. It says your bandwidth is low, but I mean, we can still hear and see you. Any questions for Anne?
Not a question, more of a comment. It looks great, Anne. I can't wait to see it in person. And thanks both you guys for doing this. But it looks great. I can't wait to see that hive.
Yeah, you got to come out and see it sometime.
Yeah, and Anne, it's very. How much honey you get from those hives? From that hives exactly?
Okay, so each of those frames in that flow hive will give me just over a half a gallon, and there's 7 frames in there. But the beauty of that flow hive is you can harvest early, and then I'll turn it back when I go back and set it back to the way that they can fill it, and then they can refill. And they'll start tomorrow in putting nectar into those. So it's not like with other hives where you fill a box and then you put another box on there and put another box on and then you harvest at the end. Or sometimes they pull them off and, you know, they'll take them to a crop and then they'll take all the honey off after that and they go and harvest it. This way I'm able to do the old-fashioned type of harvest just once a year because it is very time-consuming and kind of a messy job. But this way, you know, it's really quick, it's really easy. I can get honey early and you can harvest it as much as you want. And if I only want a half gallon of honey, I've got a half gallon of honey. I don't have to harvest the whole thing.
And I believe it's more expensive, right?
Oh yeah, It is more expensive, but it's also because the comb is built out, it's less effort on the bees' part to be able to put that honey away. So all they have to do is cap it. They don't have to build all the comb and then fill it. It takes about 5 pounds of honey to be able to produce 1 pound of wax. So if they have to build all that wax and then fill it with nectar and a lot more resources for them. So you might get a bunch of wax, but then you might not get very much honey.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool little thing. And I've had these now for 4 years. We got them back when they first came out, and we were kind of going, well, we'll see how they do. But yeah, I've had them for 4 years and not had any problems with them. So they're doing pretty
Great.
Okay. I can't see because I'm outside, but I wanted to show you the trees we got in. I put them on this drip system when we had the closure so that they could all be watered. They were going to be planted by now, but we just haven't been able to do that. So we got a number of fabulous trees. Some are just for plant ID and adding to our diversity here on campus, but a number of them are flowering. So we will have more food, and especially in the fall when the bees are really, really hungry and there's a whole bunch of them, and they're trying to get ready to make strong, healthy bees for the winter. So that's a really critical time to feed the bees, is in the fall. So we got a few trees for that as well. I wanted to briefly show you our spinner, our extractor, because in this room here is usually where we do our late summer harvest. And this is the extractor. So you can see that we put the frame, so we take the cap off the honeycomb, put them down in here, turn this handle, and by centrifugal force, it'll fling the honey out. And then it comes out this bung hole at the bottom, goes through this system of strainers to get all the wax particles out and any other debris. And then it's stored in this big bucket, which if I need to, I can strain it again. We've been pretty good with just these 2 strainer sizes that we get most of the stuff out of there. I let propolis and even pollen go through and just stay in the honey, because there's health benefits to both of those. But then, yeah, and then I just bottle it from there. So that is our honey extraction setup. Any questions about any of that?
Why don't you talk, Anne, about a couple of the cool things that you have done with your beekeeping classes, with the different parts of the, the apiary, the wax, and I guess mainly the wax. Why don't you talk about a couple of those things?
Well, yeah, I usually don't harvest much of the wax, just because, as I said, it is kind of, it takes a lot of resources for them. So I don't harvest too much, but like in the top bar hives, that's the only way you get any honey. And that's the only way to relieve overcrowding, is by harvesting a frame of wax. So we do harvest some, and when I get that, we heat it and strain it through cheesecloth to get a nice pure wax. And then we've made some candles. We've made some beeswax wrap. We've also done some chapstick. A lot of fun things that you can do with wax. But like I said, we don't get a ton of it. It doesn't take a whole lot, though, to do any of those items. So we've done a lot of fun things without too much wax.
One of the neat memories that I had is one of our green team meetings. We did a homemade salve that was with just a little bit of beeswax and some essential oils, and I don't know, did that have coconut oil in, Anne? I can't remember the exact mix.
Yes, and we also usually put some sort of like lemongrass oil, or, you know, you could use any kind of smell you want that's a pure essential oil. And then I think we also use some shea butter.
Yeah, I believe so. I'm about 3/4 the way through my little tin, and that's fantastic salve.
Yes.
But anyway, that was another example of something we did for fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm out here by the apiary. First of all, I wanted to show you this little gadget. That is a solar powered unit that then this is called the brood minder. And it collects data every hour from our hives. So I have some scales, and then I also have some thermometers on these hives, so I know what temperature it is on the outside and the inside. That's important because the brood has to have it at a certain temperature to build up. And you can tell then in the early spring when it's still cold out that your bees are building up a lot of brood if they have that 93-degree temperature inside, even though it might be, you know, 50 degrees outside. And the important thing about that is, for one, they could swarm soon. And for another is that you have to feed them. If there aren't a lot of resources out, or if there's so much rain that they can't be flying to get those resources, you need to be feeding them heavily because they have lots of mouths to feed. So that's really important. Okay, sorry about the juggling of the camera right now. I got to put on my other glove. Okay, I wanted to give you a little picture of these just so you can see how busy these hives are. Look at that. They're all really hopping. And you can see too, the bottom two boxes are for brood. That means they're babies and just raising their babies. Then I put a queen excluder on between, and then this one's just for honey. And same with this one. This is another flow hive. Yeah, look at DJ is really hopping. So they're really going at it. So one year we numbered the hives. The next year the class wanted to letter them. So we have all sorts of different indications out here on which hive is which. And that's mainly for our notes. So there's the 8-frame hive that was so crazy busy this spring that I took 2 splits off of, and that orange box on top, I might be able to open that. Okay, I got to get my hive tool. Hang on. They've really got these glued shut for me, so.
This is so fun, and you're doing great by multitasking with the camera and
Nice.
hive tool and your beekeeping outfit on. Oh
so
my
this, I don't know that you can see that, but that is a full frame of early honey. So I'm leaving it on the hive in case they, oh man, it smells good. Oh man. That's one of the dangers of beekeeping with this veil on, is you go to put some of the honey in your mouth and it always gets on your veil. But yeah, these are totally full. I don't know if you can see it capped. I might be able to lift one out. Oh yeah. I must have had this one out before because it's coming out really easy.
Oh my gosh.
Check out that beautiful frame of honey.
That is good.
Okay, look at that guy right there. See him? I can't zoom because these gloves won't be recognized by my phone screen, but oh, he's fallen over. That is a drone. You can tell how big he is. And even this one is a drone. So he's up here getting a snack. He should be out flying, but he's eating first. He's probably crawling up to that one and she must be either getting a snack or trying to recap that. I must have broken that when I opened it, but yeah, you can see right down into the hive. Those frames that you can see down below are empty ones that I put on. This one filled so fast that I had to scramble to get another 8-frame box because I didn't have any more 8-frame equipment. And 8-frame just refers to how many frames will fit in the box. So this one's a little bit narrower, which is great for people who are either maybe they have a bad back or they just can't lift as much, or maybe they're getting older and they aren't going to be able to lift as much, because one of these deeps, so this size, that has 10 frames, will be over 100 pounds when it's full of honey. Honey is very heavy. And so this one not only saves you the 2 frames, but it's a little more shallow. So it's closer to maybe 60 pounds of honey instead. So a lot easier to lift. But yeah, look at that little guy. Now drones are the boys, of course. They have great big old eyes on them. And they only live for mating the queen, and not the queen of their own hive, but queens of other hives who might be virgin. So when you have that swarm, the old queen leaves. She leaves behind, maybe 7, 10, 11 queen cells. The first one out will go kill all of the others in their cells. And then after a couple of days of getting used to being able to, she's getting her strength up, learning how to fly and everything, she'll go out on her mating flight, and she has to mate somewhere between 11 to 20 times. And it's the fastest, strongest, best drone that she can find. And they're all hanging out at a drone congregation site where there can be hundreds of drones. They chase her through the air. If she accepts them, they mate in midair. And they actually mate with such power, they ejaculate with such power that it blows their penis off, and they fall to their death. And then the next male that comes up to mate with her has to pull that member out from the last guy, and then they insert theirs, same thing happens. And then that queen will come back after she's finished mating, and she will still have that part in her, and her workers then, because she'll smell so much better, they know she's well mated, they will groom her, and they take that out of her. Her spermatheca should be nice and full by that point, and she'll have plenty of sperm to go about her business of being a good queen for a few years. Any questions while I'm in the hive? I know you're all wanting honey. That's
Yes, can you transport some honey to us, Anne?
yes, that's going to be the trick, is getting some jars right now. Nothing's shipping very fast. So yeah, so right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, I think 10 hives here, and then the 2 hives over there. And then I keep putting bees in this bee tree out here, but they don't seem to like it very much. So
What about the top bar, Anne? Any activity there?
yes, let me show you the activity there. I don't know, can you tell this hole? Do you think that was squirrel activity or raccoon, or I'm not sure what that was, but look at how they chewed that. They got right in there and had a little feast.
Well, I think I wouldn't doubt California ground squirrels, because
Oh, yes, squirrels.
Pardon me?
I agree. Squirrels could be, because we have some really healthy squirrels out here on campus.
Yeah, since people aren't on campus, I think the California ground squirrel population is probably really taken off. I mean,
We have found that this year, even though I'm going to leave my, even though we haven't been here, boy, Mother Nature has taken off. We are harvesting so much, and even like the cherry tree and everything has more cherries on it than before. And we've been harvesting so much out in the hoop house, and just so early too. Mother Nature really is taking a giant breath of fresh air, I think, and loving it. Okay, so I'm going to be walking for a little bit. So if any of you have any questions, please ask.
Hi, it's Farid again. Yeah, so do you feed it for all seasons or only for winter?
Okay, so that's kind of a complicated question. I feed them in the spring because I want to make sure that until it's nice enough and there's enough resources out that they can get out and get them. And like when we had really nice weather and then it got rainy again, I put food back on them when it was rainy again. But in the wintertime, you feed them different. So this time of year, I could feed them syrup. And if I have a new hive, like I caught a swarm, I will go ahead and feed them that sugar water to give them as many resources as they need to build out their honeycomb and to build out those bottom 2 brood boxes and get them full. and that builds up their population and everything. Once I put on a honey super, I quit feeding them because I don't want sugar water in my honey.
Yeah.
So
And I know,
okay, here's one of our, okay, actually 3 different projects we did where each year the landscape technology students are adding some pollinator garden. So this was a couple years ago. You can see that it's really grown in nicely. It's filled in. I didn't have to weed it very much this year. And then this was the year after that, so this section. And it had more weeds in it. It hasn't grown in quite as well, so it's not quite as full. We put in some different things too. There's a lot more herbs in here. Totally different mix. We got a bunch of our, I don't know if you can see the milkweed back here. Look at that milkweed.
Oh,
So
yay.
milkweed is really important for our butterflies. And you know the monarchs are severe decline. So we planted a bunch of milkweed in here and it really took off. So I'm really happy about that. And then this next section over here was just last year. And this is soil that we got right off campus that we made out there in the cows with the pasture, actually from the barn. And so it had a harder time because we weren't here on campus. The weeds overgrew the plants. So you can see some of them got really long and leggy and they're even laying over. But I've been able to weed back at least to the trees and try to control some of those. But you can see the progression that we have that one that's been here a couple years, and then we have this one, and then this is the latest one. I have some more plants that we got that I'll put in here and get this filled in so that we have more and more pollinator habitat as we go along.
What's happening with irrigation on campus this summer, Ann?
I have no idea. No, we've turned it on. I haven't even had enough time on campus to check and make sure it's all working, but really we've just now gotten into a long stretch of dry and heat. We've had quite a bit of rain up till now. So that's on my list that we need to get through and check everything to see that the irrigation is running, because it will need irrigation soon, especially all those trees that we're planting too. They need to be irrigated so that they survive. How many of you have been to the Master Gardener's Learning Garden or Educational Garden? Nobody?
I've been.
I've been.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is, hi. Well, hi. You might as well weed.
Man.
But I'm doing a Zoom meeting for our bee campus.
Oh.
And so, because it's pollinator week. So I have to take them through your beautiful garden. But yeah, the Master Gardeners are doing great out here. Everything's grown in really nice. I think a few of them, yes, they're beautiful, but you can see that they're visiting. There's little bees on this stuff, and they get such a good variety of bees out in this garden. You've got bumblebees, you've got mason bees, you've got all sorts of native bees. And then of course, my honeybees too. So yeah, there's one of the mason bee hotels, and you can see that they're already full of mud again. So they were successful in putting their eggs in.
Yeah, looking good.
But yeah, they have snuck out here on walks and gone through and weeded everything. That was probably our biggest struggle so far this year, is just controlling the weeds, because the weeds did not, well, here you can see the weeds have kind of gone crazy there, but they're still much shorter than they are in a whole lot of other places.
And
Look
I
at
heard
that.
Arturo found a 7-foot weed out at Rock Creek.
Yes, I've been pulling out 5 and 6 footers all the time. So yeah, you can see them all. Bees are all over these. You can see the cute little bumbles. They're really working all these. Yeah, and usually we would be doing some sweeps to see what native bees we have, but we really haven't been given enough time to be able to do things like that.
Last year, I was able to get some really fun macro shots in the master gardeners of bees. Like Ann said, so much diversity and of pollinators and the flowers. It was just so fun taking photos there.
Yeah, this is a onion, and they're loving it. It's just starting to open.
Wow.
That's ornamental onion. You have some roses over here that they're deep down inside working. Oh, so another project we have that's kind of on hold, but we're going to be working on it this fall, is you can see this area here is kind of the island of neglect. It's a space that's in between what the master gardeners have done and then the learning garden. And so we are going to put pollinator hedgerow in here. So we're going to leave enough of a path in between. You can see some rocks over here that kind of define the edge of theirs. We're going to leave a good 5 or 6 foot pathway and then bring in soil and plant pollinator friendly plants in there, and probably all the way down. You can see a light pole down there. So this will be at least 10 foot wide. We're going to put some trees in. You know, we planted a new tree out here for shade in the learning garden. And then we did another pollinator, one of the pollinator hedgerows we already completed, and that's out in the orchard. So it's at the far end, but the garden is doing great.
Hey, Ann?
Yes.
Is that a killdeer we hear that's talking to you?
Yes, I'm watching where I'm walking, and a lot of the killdeer have already hatched out.
Yeah, it's a little curious why it's so,
Well, I was on gravel too, so you always have to be careful. They love laying in the gravel.
yeah, maybe it's a second brood or something.
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, we always mark those. When we find them, we mark them with cones so everybody can stay away until they hatch out. But yeah, he's right up on top of that. I don't know if it's the he or the she, but they're up there yelling at me. Any other questions about maybe the learning garden or anything we're doing?
This is just coming to my mind, Anne, because I saw you with the big gallon jug. Is there any like supplies that you need that we all might be collecting at home or that we can think about that you need for the apiary or your work this summer? Just random.
The only thing I can think of right now that we're really short on is jars for the honey. And so I'm going to be looking at getting some of those soon.
Like
But yeah, I don't know of anything
canning
else.
jars, you mean like pints and quarts?
No, I'm going to get our fancy little ones that we
Okay.
can into, or we sell. Now this is that Phacelia. Some of you might have heard that we planted Phacelia this year. This is a really cool plant because not only, I don't know if you can see, but see how it'll start down here and bloom, and it just keeps unrolling with blooms. So it grows and grows and grows. See, there's some that are curled, and they just grow and grow and grow, and they have purple pollen, which is cool. So if you see purple pollen inside the beehive, that's where it came from. And this is an excellent source. Both the pollen and the nectar are really good sources. Now there's an interesting little bee. I don't know what kind that is, but that's cool. Yeah, so we planted some Phacelia. She used it as a green cover crop. I let it grow and then just go to seed, and then I mowed it. Look at the blueberries. She picked, I think, 23 pints of blueberries for harvest that we got to the food bank on Monday. The raspberries are growing like crazy. We got fresh raspberries on, but look at the orchard. Look at how nice those trees have come in, Elaine. Yeah, I didn't move the bees out here this year, but it still looks like we got a really nice fruit set. You can see all the apples on there. They probably need to be thinned pretty soon, but yeah, the orchard is doing really well. Anything else you'd like to see while I'm out here? How about a Miriam hiding in the raspberries?
Yeah, we're doing well on time, but I think we'll try to wrap it up.
Okay.
So any last questions for Anne?
And I joined late, so I may have missed this, but how are the hives that came from Sylvania? How are they doing?
One of them's alive. I did show that one. And then one of them died out, but it died out kind of late in the spring, which I thought it was already doing really well. And for some reason it died out all of a sudden. But one of them's doing really well.
You think that was the strong hive that came
Oh yeah, that's a super strong hive.
on the left? Okay.
Super. Well, I am gonna share my screen quick, Anne,
Yeah, go ahead.
and pull up. I wanted to show everybody that if you haven't gotten the, oops, not now. If you haven't gotten the Bee City USA newsletter, a lot of information is coming out about Pollinator Week, and that's what we're celebrating this week all over the world. And you can sign up for this blog if you don't get it, their newsletter and such, which is pretty interesting, highlighting Bee Campus USA and Bee City USA. But the other thing I wanted to show you is that in here, you can see it takes you to the website, and we are able to see our, and we hear
We're on
you.
Bee City.
What's that?
Oh, we're at Bee City.
Oh yes.
We need Bee Campus report. So you can go to the page here and see from 2019 that our annual report should be in here. Here are all the campuses. And here we are. You can pull it up and see. Ah, there we are. The interesting thing about this is the information that we gather and collect, not all of it gets put out into their reports. So that's something we don't have control over, but this is the output of, and so here's our report. Cascade got in, photos from them. This is from a tree planting down in the wetlands at Rock Creek. Oh, here's the Anne with the class and the extractor in action. Talking about our tree campus, Bee Campus. And there you have it. So I wanted to highlight that. Every year we have to submit data, quantitative and qualitative, for our Bee Campus USA certification, then it goes into a report. So back at it. Any other questions? Okay, Robert had to go.
For doing this. This was fun.
Yeah, thank you all for coming. Thank you, Anne. This is, I really enjoyed it. It was absolutely fun to do and see.
Well, good. I'm glad you guys got to see it. Briar, if you're still here, I'm almost back to the hives. If you want me to go show you your babies.
Oh, my
You have
ladies.
to see what you missed, Briar. It's beautiful. Thank you so much, everybody.
Hi,
Thank you for
Allison.
joining us.
Allison.
Yeah. Have a good day.
I'd like to see Anne if you have a minute.
I'm almost there.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. That was great. And it was actually great seeing everybody.
Hi,
And
Susan.
Likewise, we miss you.
I miss you guys too. I miss the hives and all that. And that was great. It was so good to see it. Everything looks so good. Can't wait.
There's your hive, Briar. That tall 3-stack one is the strong one. I had the other one next to it, but when it died out, I actually put one of the hives that was in the back over in this aisle. I put it out here so that they have better access to the sunlight and everything getting out easier.
And so that one had the flow hive on it originally, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And I have that around. I just move the flow hive to whomever is strongest, that, needs it first. And I actually had put the flow hive on another one and then got this hive on here, the honey super. And so I've moved it around a little bit right now, but they already had this one and they're working on it. So we'll see if we get any honey. If you want me to, if I could suit back up and we can crack the lid on this one if you want, Briar.